What's up, you beautiful chuds, and welcome to the Let's Talk Horror channel for a video that's a video like I haven't done for a while. I haven't done a review or a reaction or anything like that for the YouTube channel for a little bit. It's not because I don't want to. I really enjoy doing them. It's just about having time. But I really want to try and do everything I can to bring out more videos, whether it's reviews, whether it's reactions, or whatever that video may be. I want to try and do what I can to put out more on our YouTube channel for 2026. So, is there going to be loads more? Probably not. But am I going to try and do everything I can to put more out? Yes. And that starts with this video, because already 2026 is here and I've seen my first horror movie of the year, and that is Return to Silent Hill. This was a movie that I've been really looking forward to. I like the Silent Hill games. I mean, I can't really play them because I literally am terrified of horror games, but I love the cinematic journey that the games take you on, which lessens the sort of like the how scared I get of them, you know, because you'll sort of like enjoy the story. So it's always interesting to see sort of how they cross over the games and put them into movies, and obviously a lot of the time the results aren't great, but also it's quite difficult as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But Return to Silent Hill was a movie that I was looking forward to because also, as well as the games, I enjoyed the first movie. But this review is going to be a bit of a wild one, and I think a lot of people's reviews for this movie are definitely a little bit wild, and I really wanted to talk about that as well, but about really who this movie is for and who it may be for, and why it's getting what it is. Because look, if you're watching this review, you probably already know what's out there at the moment on IMDb. I think it's like less than 5 out of 10, which is not good. It's on like less than 20% on both scores on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, critically, commercially, it's not done great, and it's sort of surprising, but also not surprising at the same time, especially after you watch the movie. And that's what I'm going to get into. So, as I always say, if you haven't watched the movie yet, well, don't watch this review, because I like to deconstruct everything to then be as constructive as I possibly can, and then I put it all back together. And I do that by talking about my pros, which is everything I like about the movie, or then I do my cons, which is everything I don't like about the movie, and then I go into my overall thoughts, which is basically overall how I feel about the movie, and if there's anything else I want to talk about. So there might be spoilers, because to do all of that, I need to talk very honestly about everything that sort of happens in the movie. So if you haven't seen Silent Hill or Return to Silent Hill yet, then come back to this video after you have. But with that, let's just get right into my pros. So when it comes to my pros, the things that I like about the movie, this is where it gets a bit tough, because the absolute honest truth is I struggle, apart from one thing, to find anything that really saves this movie that I like. And that's sad, because like I said right at the start, I really wanted to look for, I was looking forward to this movie, so of course I wanted to like it, and I love the Silent Hill world and the original movie. So it was really sad coming out of this and seeing essentially the monstrosity that they made, which is what it feels like a little bit. As I said, my pros really are the fact that, very similar to the first one, that this is a visually stunning movie in a lot of places. There are some pretty questionable CGI moments in the movie that do not look good, but I mean, I think this movie was made for about 23 million, I think it was. I could be wrong, but I think it was like 23 million, and it looks like a bigger budget movie than that, in regards to the set pieces, in regards to the set design, in regards to like the fact that the CGI must be good enough if they're using more CGI than set design. Like, there's probably a lot of green screen work, but also you don't necessarily see or notice a lot of green screen work apart from in certain places. So the set design is fantastic. It really delivers that look of Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2. It has the essence of like what the first film does, where you feel like that you're in Silent Hill. And it's got loads of really fantastic looking shots. You know, when you make a movie that is a a game adaptation, when you're going from a game, like games are a visual medium, they're visual storytelling, right? And then you just play along with it, right? So you have to have somebody who is a very gifted technical and visual filmmaker. And Christoph Gans, or Christopher Gans, or however you say his name, because what I just did is not his right name, more than likely. Hopefully it is. Hopefully I got it right, but I doubt it. But he obviously made the first Silent Hill movie, and it felt like he understood what he was trying to do with that movie. And he was trying to essentially make a movie that's his, but base it in the world loosely, sort of, and well, not necessarily loosely, but base it in the world of Silent Hill. And you got that. And I think it was a movie that worked pretty well for people that know Silent Hill and for people that don't. And I'm going to get into that when I get to my my cons and my overall thoughts. But the only pro for this is the fact that they, once again, successfully put the world of Silent Hill onto screen. And you feel that you feel like you're in it, and that's not an easy thing to do. So that makes it a success. But the sad part is, as I said, when I was watching it, the more I've been thinking about it, that I think that's like the only success of the movie, because everything that I'm going to be talking about in my cons and overall, they're all like negative, to go towards the movie. And I mean, as I said, that's sad. Like, I don't ever want to hate movies or dislike them. And I want to say right now, I don't hate this movie, and I will watch this movie again. And maybe I might enjoy it on my next one. But as of right now, there's a lot going against this movie for me on a personal level, like how I feel about it. Because like I said, I don't care about how other people feel about this movie. It's about how I feel about it. But it's a really interesting one because, universally, this has been pretty panned, this movie, And as I said, I sometimes I watch movies and people really dislike them. And then I'm like, I love them. I love that movie, or I like it. And I try and find, or I do find, the little things that a lot of people don't like, I do like. With this one, if you're just really relying on the visual style and the fact that they managed to replicate, going from a game to a movie, and they did that really well, that's kudos to them. But then what happens with the rest of the movie? So that's what I'm going to get into. So let's talk about my cons. So my cons, as I've already said, are the things that I dislike about the movie. And sadly, there's a lot, but also there is a few things that I'm just going to leave and talk about in regards to, when I get to my overall thoughts of the movie, because it's a lot easier to really explain that way. But the big things that stand out to me two of them sort of like linked together. The first part of that is the fact that the performances in this are absolutely awful, like laughably bad in some moments. Especially the fucking fake beard. Like, if you've seen the movie, and if you haven't, I told you don't watch this review, but if you've seen the movie and we get to the end and you see the glued on, ridiculously bad fake beard, fake beard, it's got to be one of the worst fake beards I've ever seen, because it stands out so much that, once again, I laughed and other people in the cinema were laughing at how awful it looked. But that's just one thing. But I mean, that's not really the performance side of it. It's just that looks awful, and I just wanted to say. But the performances in this movie were pretty bad to, it was laughably funny. I laughed out loud when you're not supposed to. Oh, definitely a minimum of 3 times. It was definitely more than 3 times that I laughed at this movie, because it started getting into like the part, where you have in cinema, where you have movies or scenes where they're so bad they're good because they're hilarious. That's what it was. But the sad thing is, it wasn't good, it was just bad. But I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that when you are, an actor and a performer, you're sometimes only as good as the material that you're given. And I think that's one of my biggest problems with this movie, is the fact that either one of two, they were never given any material whatsoever to work with, or it was all AI, and they just said, make a script for Silent Hill through AI. Or, as I said, there was no script, because the writing, the dialogue in this is so plain, so generic, so basic, that the fact that they are putting this into a movie that goes, it's a studio movie and it goes to the cinema. The fact that they're allowing this sort of dialogue and these sort of performances in these movies is criminal. And like I said, it's not all going to be the actors' fault in the movie. Sometimes they have like the moments where they're okay. But like I said, sometimes it's like they can only work with what they've got. And they really, really do not have much to work with in this movie. It's, like I said, laughably bad to the point that I laughed out loud multiple times watching the movie. Almost out of like disbelief that they're that you're like, this is insane that you're letting this happen. I'm convinced that on set they cared more about the visual side of the storytelling and saying like, we've got to make this look like Silent Hill or Silent Hill 2. But this moment, it's just you and your missus lying there having a kiss and then basically talking about how much you love each other. That's all you need to know. And they're like, oh, have we got a script? And then they're like, no, we don't need one because you can just make it up, can't you? And they're like, yeah, all right. That's pretty much how it feels, and that's insane to me. It's absolutely mental. So that's a big thing, because if you don't believe in the performances and you don't believe in the characters and the journey you're on with them, well, then that's a big fuck up. Really, it is, and that doesn't work. Then one of the other things that really, really surprised me was, so visual storytelling is great in this, like I've already said in my pros, but one thing that sort of goes hand in hand that you really have to go with the visual side of it is the sound side of it, the audio side of it. And in a movie like Silent Hill, you expect, because it's a movie that is constantly driven forwards towards the tension and the fact that it's supposed to be a scary movie, like it is a scary game and stuff, and it's a horror movie, and the tension and dread is constantly rising. This movie constantly feels flat, even during the set piece scenes, because apart from, the classic Silent Hill air raid siren that they put on, and you're like, oh, shit's going to happen. But other than that, the music, the score, the sound design just constantly feels like it's in the background rather than being at the forefront, which really shouldn't be happening in a movie like this, where that's what's driving the tension and the dread, because there's so many moments. There's moments in the elevator where you've got typical elevator scenes where they're trying to get into an elevator that doesn't work but suddenly works. Moments in like that, but you're still sitting there and nothing, there's no tension. You don't ever feel like any form of anxiety in you, when you're watching it. What's going to happen, but you still like to be taken on that journey to feel that way. And sound design is, sound design, whether it's the score, whether it's the sound effects and so on, that's a huge part of movie making. And once again, if you listen to the score on its own, it's fantastic. It's a great score. It's mostly taken from Silent Hill. So it sounds great. And it could work with the movie because it's a Silent Hill movie. Of course it's going to. But they just didn't nail it when it came to it. And if, once again, it's the technical side of filmmaking where it's, you've got to do that sort of stuff. You've got to understand that stuff. Because, once again, this is a studio horror movie. Like I said, I think it was a budget of 26 million or something like that. That's really not a big budget for a movie that is like this, where, like I said, it's credit to the set design and stuff, because this does feel like a bigger movie than what it is. So kudos in regards to that. But you've got to get, if you're spending that money, at least make sure you're putting it in the right places or giving it to the right people so they understand where to put it in the right places. And that really sucked, that the sound design that is so integral to the Silent Hill games and should be so integral to a Silent Hill movie just felt flat, and that really sucked. So you've got bad performances with a really bad fake beard. You've got awful sound design and score. Well, not awful, they didn't do what they needed to with it to deliver the impact of tension and dread and horror. They also either stole an AI script or wrote no script whatsoever. But I've got a lot more that I want to talk about, but it's easier if I just do that in my overall thoughts, because otherwise I'll be here all day just talking about cons. And there's a lot more. Unfortunately, like difficult things or bad things to talk about with this movie. So let's just get into my overall thoughts. So I mean, obviously you can tell how I feel about this movie. I feel that like with a lot of movies, it was definitely a missed opportunity to create something special, but they did the absolute opposite with this movie. They didn't create anything special. They created something that is laughable, or that you can laugh at when you don't want to. And people, when I watched this at the cinema, when it finished, literally, I mean, it was so audible, so loud, that people were saying, like, how shit was that movie? What did I just watch? They were laughing when it finished because they were like, how can this be so bad? I didn't hear a single person. I even heard somebody who said how much they love Silent Hill and how bad that movie was. It's tough. It's tough. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are getting like really pissed off with it already as well, because it feels like a film that's like, it almost feels like it's almost a replication of Silent Hill 2, but it still manages to get Silent Hill 2 wrong. Like, it takes away so many of the big elements of what Silent Hill 2 is, or mixes in other things and so on. Like, I'm no genius when it comes to Silent Hill. Like, I don't know a lot of it like a lot of people, but I do know that it changed some things or did some things that's different, but it still feels like it's like they looked at Silent Hill 2 and was just like, well, let's just do that and turn it into a movie. But but the easiest way for me to explain how I feel about this movie is, this movie doesn't feel like a movie. That's the conclusion that I've come to, is that this movie doesn't feel like a movie. What this movie what this thing, whatever it is, feels like is, it feels like cutscenes from a game. It feels like all they've done is taken cutscenes from the game, and but that aren't even in the game, or some of them are, and they've taken the best bits of the game, of the cutscenes that make it cinematic, and they basically filmed it for real and then just put it together somehow. Badly they put it together, because the editing's not great in this as well. It's like pretty choppy, and then you go from one scene to another and you're like, well, where are we going now? So that's another bad thing about it. The editing's not great. But it feels genuinely like a cutscene, like multiple cutscenes that are filmed in real life and then put together to make a movie, rather than it being an actual movie that goes from A to B to C. We get a start, middle, and end, but it doesn't even feel like we have a start, middle, and end, because it just feels like scenes put together. And that's not great. But one of the other things that I was really thinking about is that, like, I do feel like bad for not, like, you can't ever feel bad for not liking a movie, right? Like, I don't like a lot of movies that people love, and people love movies that I absolutely hate. Like, you can't ever apologize for liking or disliking something, because you're not meant to, really, because I feel about this movie how I feel, and you feel about this movie and other movies the way that you feel. But I do always feel bad when I see a movie that is just this bad, and I try and do everything I can to find good in it and be constructive, and there's that one thing that it is. So one thing that I've been trying to do is really think about, to the core, like, as to, like, why this movie is getting reviewed so bad, and who is this movie for, and, like, obviously I know a big part of why it's bad, because it's not a movie. It's just cutscenes, film reel, put together, and that's the movie. That takes whatever it wants from Silent Hill 2 or the Silent Hill games, and then disregards the rest. They just want to take what they want, and obviously a lot of people are, pretty annoyed about it. If you're going to make the game into a movie, then make the game into a movie. Don't just take all the bits that you want. It's not successful in doing that. And like I've said, like, making games into movies is very difficult. And that's, I think, a big part of this. So if you are somebody that loves the games and loves Silent Hill, and especially Silent Hill 2, and you can get over the things that they may change and so on like that. Like, if you want a movie that is the absolute essence and makes you feel like you're in that world of Silent Hill, and has all the homages and all of, like, the main cinematic scenes of what Silent Hill 2 and so much is, and so much of what the series is, right? then you will probably love this movie. Now, that's not saying that you will, but I'm saying this is really who the movie's for, is for the people that love the games. But what then you're doing is you are leaving out the people that just want to see a movie that's a movie and hope that it's good. Because the sad part is that a lot of these people who are going to see this movie may not even be people who know what Silent Hill is, or know that it's based on a game. They just want to go and see a horror movie, or a movie, even if they're not horror fans, at the cinema, and it ends up being this. So it's got a lot of things going against it. There's not a lot going for it. Because really, if you're making a movie that is purely just for people that love Silent Hill, and you still fuck it up, then you're really not doing your job. So, but at the same time, why would you do that? Because then you're isolating your audience, right? You're saying, well, I'm only really making this for Silent Hill fans because we've got to make a true representation of what Silent Hill is, or what Silent Hill 2 is. Like, we're taking what we want and we make what we want out of it. But then you're not going to make like box office numbers or any money back, even though it's a reasonably low budget. It's going to be absolutely insane if this movie doesn't make its budget back. Because at 26 million, you're hoping that this movie makes, 100 million or something like that, But I don't think it will. I hope that it does. But I don't think that I don't even think we'll see another Resident Evil. I don't think we're going to see another Silent Hill movie ever, or for a long, long time after this. And that's a shame, because the world that it has created outside of the movies is a really interesting, intriguing world that can really be fantastic for cinema. And like I said, on a visual medium and a visual level, it's absolutely stunning, the movie. But I suppose at the same time, if you get the visual side of this movie wrong, when you're taking it from a game like Silent Hill, then you're really bad at filmmaking. Like, you ain't doing your job at all. So yeah, I think this movie feels like it's isolating an audience and saying really, or making it feel like this movie really is for the people that love Silent Hill. And forgetting that they might not make much money, because everybody wants to go to the cinema, or say everybody, but a lot of people still want to go to the cinema to watch movies, and they want to watch good ones, not shit ones that are based on a game that they may not even know about, or if they do, they don't know much about, and it don't work. And that's what this movie is. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work as a movie. And from what I hear from people who are fans of the game, for those that do like it, then they love it. But those that don't like it, well, then it doesn't work for them either. So, what is this movie? Like, I don't get it. But I am sad by it, because I like the world. I like the Silent Hill world, and I think it can be, put to the screen properly. It can be a very terrifying place. But this movie was not scary at all, even though it had a couple moments of jump scares that weren't scary at all, because it's so bland and so generic that it's so easily set up for this to happen, and you're like, well, you're just waiting for it, and you know it's going to happen. There's so much bad in this movie, and it's not just as bad. The whole movie feels as bad as the fake beard that's in it. So I'm gutted, but that it is what it is. I just hope that 2026 does a lot better than this, because like a lot of people, I was really looking forward to this movie, and it was a major letdown. So you can, unless everything is an absolute monstrosity for the rest of the year, then this is already going to be the one that doesn't go near the top of my list for favourite movies of 2026. I mean, we're at the start of it, but what a sad start to the year for me, watching horror and going on my journey through horror in this year. But I hopefully, fingers crossed, onwards and upwards, and the next one will be better. But actually gutted about this one. I came out the cinema gutted, and then laughing a lot about how bad it was. Maybe over time it will become one of those movies that people watch just to laugh at. But I hope not. I really hope not. Anyway, but there we go. There's a review. As I said, it's been a while, but hopefully I will get more out. As I said, the plan is to try and get more reviews out, try and get more reactions out. I like doing the reactions to trailers and stuff as well. That's fun. And just videos in general, trying to put out as much horror related content as I can for you, and hopefully that you enjoy it. If you haven't yet, if you're watching this, please subscribe. Of course, it means the world to me. It don't cost anything for you, which is nice. So it's completely free. It don't cost you anything, but it really helps me. It helps Let's Talk Horror in a massive way. It helps more than you know, because you are always, as I say in every video, you are the biggest part of any success Let's Talk Horror has. And it doesn't have much. So when it does, it means a lot. So having an extra subscriber actually means more to me than you know, if that makes sense. So anyway, subscribe. It's free. It really helps out. Obviously, you can follow us on all the socials, and then just keep checking. No, keep checking back. Because hopefully I'll be putting more videos out. But there we go. Return to Silent Hill. Just watch it anyway, because you might love it. Hopefully, a lot more than what I did. But until next time. Stay creepy, fuckers.